Today I will show you how to knit Intarsia without the Picto carriage. For the demonstration I will knit the red heart from the girl's sweater given in the 36th model book. I had a tough time figuring out the steps, but eventually I learned how it works. You're much more limited if you don't use the Picto carriage. The first part of the heart is knitted the same way as in the Duo manual, so this video will add more information to this lesson. You can pause the video and try to guess what are all the steps for knitting the heart. I'm pretty sure that you won't figure out all of them if this is your first time knitting Intarsia. This is my first successful heart. It took me an hour and a half to knit it. This is the chart from the magazine. I have turned it into a cheat sheet to help me while knitting. The most important things to mark are the numbers of the needles. But it's useful to mark the places where you have to attach weights to the fabric. Also, don't forget the places where you have to use the decker combs and increase the stitches. Write down the numbers of the needles on top as well as another reminder to attach weights to the fabric. Now look at the chart up close. As you can see, the heart must be knitted into 11 separate sections. Each of the first 3 sections is made of 40 rows, which is equal to 120 rows in total. The following 3 sections in the middle are equal to 14 rows each, so 42 rows in total. Finally, you have 5 sections by 14 rows each, or in other words, 70 rows. To make the border bigger, I will increase 1 stitch on each side. This way I will work on a total of 50 stitches. Now without further delay, let's go to the knitting machine. My racking handle is in its lowest position and I have made a single bed cast on. To make the border, I have knitted a total of 30 rows using the background color yarn. Reset the row counter and set the front lock to BX. The back lock must be set to GX. Now raise pushers under all working needles on the front bed and put the right half of them in working position. Leave the first pusher to the right in resting position. Now drop the front bed and attach weights to the knitting. Continue knitting with the background color yarn. Knit the first row to the left, then wrap the yarn around the rightmost needle that doesn't knit. Knit the row to the right, then put the next pusher on the left in resting position. Knit 1 row and repeat the same steps. You have to follow the chart or you can simply look at the row counter. For the first section you need to knit a total of 40 rows, so you will know you're ready when the counter is at 40 rows. According to the chart I'm following, I must have 5 pushers in working position at the end, but if you are knitting a sweater, the heart will be in the middle of the piece, so you will have a lot more stitches at each side. Now reset the row counter. Cut the yarn from the eyelet and wrap it around the annex lever. Put all pushers in resting position, then slide the lock to the left. Take the yarn, pass it around the edge of the extension rail and wrap it around the racking handle. Now reset the row counter. Raise the left half of the pusher starting from the second pusher to the left. The first pusher to the left must be in resting position. Knit one row to the right and wrap the yarn around the first needle that hasn't knitted. Knit one row to the left, then put the rightmost pusher in resting position and repeat the same steps. The process is the same as for knitting the first section but with reversed shaping. Remember this rule while knitting. You always have to lower the pushers that are on the opposite side of the lock, and you always have to wrap the yarn around the needle on the side of the lock. In the end, I need to have 5 working pushers and the lock must be at the left side of the knitting. Reset the row counter. Take out the eyelet from the jaws and cut the yarn. Put the yarn tail between the beds of the machine. Put all pushers in resting position. Now slide the lock to the right. Put the eyelet in the color changer and press it down, then wrap the end of the yarn around the deck rail or insert it into the slot. Move the lock to the color changer and take the second color yarn. Now reset the row counter. Raise the 2 pushers in the center. One to the left and one to the right. Now knit one row. Slightly raise the first non-working needle on the side of the lock and wrap the yarn around it. Raise one pusher on the opposite side of the lock and knit one row. Wrap the yarn on the side of the lock, then raise one pusher on the opposite side of the lock and knit one row. Repeat these steps until you raise all pushers shown in the diagram. For the demonstration, I need to have 5 pushers in resting position at each side. The row counter must be at 40 rows after section 3 is knitted. Make the habit of doing all operations in the same sequence every time. This will make it less likely to make mistakes during knitting. Now knit the last row to the right. Reset the row counter and set the front lock to N. Move the right edge spring and put all stitches knitted with the background color on a decker comb. In my case, I have only 5 stitches at the sides, but if you knit a sweater, you will have more. Now move the left edge spring and put the stitches knitted with the background color yarn on a decker comb. If you don't have decker combs, you can drop these stitches on waste yarn. Lower the front bed and drop the decker combs between the beds of the machine. At each end, take a purl bump and increase with 1 stitch at each side as shown in the video. Place the edge springs on the last working needles, then put all empty needles out of work. Put toe pushers in resting position and knit 14 rows with the second color yarn. Now reset the row counter. Move the lock to the color changer and retread the machine. Now take the first color yarn. Move the edge springs and transfer the end stitches one needle in. Now remove the weights from the knitting. Take a decker comb and put all stitches on it. Drop the front bed and carefully take the decker comb on the right. Now carefully rehang the stitches on the needles on the front bed. Place the edge spring on the rightmost working needle. Put the empty needles out of work, then use the prong tool and increase with one stitch to the left by hanging a purl bump on the following empty needle. Raise the front bed and place the other edge spring on the last working needle. Now knit 14 rows with the background color yarn. Now reset the row counter. Take the leftmost stitch and transfer it one needle to the right. Now put all stitches on a decker comb. Move the lock to the color changer, cut the yarn from the eyelet and wrap it around the NX lever. Set the front lock to BX. Drop the front bed and find the leftmost decker comb. Make sure the stitches are not twisted and rehang them somewhere on the needles of the front bed. Use the prong tool to increase one stitch to the right by hanging a purl bump on the empty needle. Place the edge springs on the last working needles. Now raise the front bed and slide the lock to the left. It won't knit because all pushers are in resting position. Take the end of the yarn, pass it around the extension rail, wrap it around the racking handle and reset the row counter. Move the NX lever to N and knit 14 rows. Reset the row counter and move the lever to X. Take the eyelet from the jaws and cut the yarn. Slide the lock to the right, then put the eyelet in the color changer, press it down, wrap the end of the yarn around the decor rail or insert it into the slot. Move the lock to the color changer and take the second color yarn. Now reset the row counter. Move the right edge spring and transfer the rightmost stitch one needle to the left. Now take the remaining stitches and transfer them to their initial place if you haven't rehanged them in the same place in the previous step. At this step we have to rehang all stitches back to the needles. Drop the front bed and rehang the rest of the stitches. I have 5 stitches on each side and 40 stitches in the center. Please don't forget to support me by liking the video and leaving me a comment below. Place the right edge spring on the last working needle and center the trip cam for the row counter. Put the pushers in working position starting from the second pusher on the right all the way to the 19th pusher. Drop the front bed and put the weights back on the knitting. Now raise the front bed and knit one row. Wrap the yarn around the last non-working needle on the side of the lock, then put the rightmost working pusher in resting position and knit one row. Wrap the yarn around the last non-working needle, put the leftmost working pusher to rest and knit another row. Repeat the same steps and follow the chart until you knit 14 rows. Put all pushers in resting position. Reset the row counter. Pull the yarn from the eyelet, cut it and wrap it around the annex lever. Put the yarn tail between the beds of the machine and slide the lock to the left. Remove the yarn tails from the racking handle. Now take the yarn tail from the annex lever and wrap it around the racking handle. Always pass the yarn around the extension plate so it stays between the beds of the machine. Now reset the row counter. Start from the 19th pusher to the left and put the following ones to the second pusher in working position. Knit one row and wrap the yarn around the last non-working needle. Put the leftmost working pusher in resting position and knit one row. Wrap the yarn on the left, then put the rightmost working pusher to rest. Now knit one row. Repeat these steps until you knit the last part of the heart. The row counter must be at 14 rows. Now reset the row counter and put all pushers in resting position. Take out the eyelet from the jaws and cut the yarn. Put the eyelet in the color changer and press it down. Now slide the lock to the right. Make sure all pushers are in resting position. Take the eyelet with the background color yarn. Now reset the row counter. Raise the two pushers in the center, one to the left and one to the right. Drop the front bed and rehang the weights higher on the knitting. Now raise the front bed and knit one row. Wrap the yarn on the side of the lock, then put one pusher in working position on the right side and knit one row. Now repeat the same steps until you knit a total of 14 rows. It should look as shown in the chart. Put all pushers in resting position. Reset the row counter. Move the lock to the color changer and retread the machine. Put 6 pushers in working position on the right side. Knit one row and wrap the yarn on the side of the lock. Knit one row, put the next pusher to the left in working position and knit one row to the left. Repeat these steps until you knit a total of 14 rows. Put all pushers in resting position. Now reset the row counter. Pull out some yarn from the eyelet and cut it. Then wrap the yarn tail around the NX lever. Now slide the lock to the right. Take the yarn tail, pass it around the extension plate and wrap it around the racking handle. Don't forget to reset the row counter. Put 6 pushers in working position on the left side of the knitting. Knit one row and wrap the yarn on the side of the lock. Knit one row, put the next pusher to the right in working position and knit one row to the left. Repeat these steps until you need a total of 14 rows. Put all pushers in resting position. Now reset the row counter and set the lever to N. Now knit one row. At this point you can reset the row counter and continue knitting according to instructions. I will knit 30 rows to make a border for the test piece. Now you can see the final result. There are 2 slots at each side that you have to sew by using the mattress stitch. We increased 1 stitch on each side of the section, so after you make the seam it will be invisible on the right side. The back side is always a mess because you have too many yarn strands to weave in. But in the end it will look very good. That's all for today. Now have a nice day and see you in my next video.